You really think about how our brain is wired together. You want to say something about this whole idea of free will and determinism?
What comes forward for me there is it's a great, like just the way you were describing it, even is a great, how would I put this? It really showcases the limitations of head-based brilliance to me, which is I can think about all that and try to work it out. And I believe that there will forever be something outside of our grasp. Einstein said that we get to see just this thin layer of the truth of reality. And anyone who doesn't, when thinking about that, feel some degree of spirituality is really like just bereft of something that's available. And so for me, I love thinking about this stuff because I'm a nerd and I love thinking about all this stuff. And then there's a part of me that I've learned these days to delight and wonder in the fact that some of our existence will forever be unknowable. And it's cool that we can prove that part. We know from Heisenberg's uncertain, or whoever it was that made the uncertainty principle, like
Heisenberg, yeah.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's always something that's outside of our ability to capture this stuff. So I find these days it's more fun just to be in the wonder of it. The other example of what you just described is where people are frantically trying to get everything done in order to experience peace. Like if I just get everything done, and if you look below the doing, because the doing makes sense, if I just clear all this stuff off, then I'll feel peaceful. But it's if we look at it from being, it's like you are being frantic and hoping that will result in you being peace. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
I
I
know
love
that.
that.
So great segue to men's work. I know
Mm.
that you study David Data's work. Share with us a little bit about your journey to men's work.
Yeah. So again, I'll articulate like the masculine or the alpha energy is the void, resting consciousness, it's emptiness. And then the feminine or the omega energy is everything in that void. It's the creation, it's the stars being born and the stars being blown apart and all of that. And so everyone has a balance of these energies in them, but most people identify as men have a greater degree of masculine energy, and most people identify as women have a greater degree of female energy. But to be clear, these aren't really gendered. They're energies like you could think of them like the poles on a battery, the positive and the negative, or the masculine or the feminine, or whatever. I grew up more identified with my mom, and so I'm a man with I have a lot of masculine energy, I've later discovered, but I identified with my feminine range. And so for most of my life, I was very sensitive, and well, I still am, but like very sensitive, very concerned about not being a shithead. And when I say shithead, I mean like the man who fucks the woman and then leaves her, the guy that just blatantly checks out a woman. And so I learned to do all of this stuff to never offend and be the right man based on the standards of neo-femininity. I don't even know if neo-femininity is a thing, but whatever. Don't be that dickhead guy, be this. And what I started to notice, one, there was like a real breakdown in my marriage. When I talked about no intimacy, I was not exaggerating. There was no intimacy. There was no sex, but there was also no emotional intimacy. We resonated like twin flames. So we had a lot of resonance, but no polarity is like the spark created between the two poles of the battery. If you had a plus and a plus battery, nothing would happen. There would be no circuit that got created. And so that was how my relationship was. My wife she'd learned to masculinize herself, as many women do in the current kind of climate or business world. And I'd learned to feminize myself, and we were both hanging out in middle. And so I was drawn to men's work because I could feel that there was something available. And I knew that I had some kind of disempowered relationship with the masculine, but I didn't really know what it was. I can share more, but I want to see if there's anything you want to direct me towards now that I've said that bit.